Welcome to the Deep Dive. This is where we grab those surprising, sometimes viral claims you hear, take a good look at the source material, and, well, figure out what's really going on. And today, we have a classic piece of trivia, one that just never seems to fade away, the idea that Coca-Cola was originally green.
Ah, yes, the green Coke myth that pops up everywhere.
It really does. Sounds like, quirky vintage history. But like always, the real story behind the simple factoid. It's usually way more interesting. So our mission today is to dig into the sources. We want to trace the history, maybe a bit of the chemistry, and the branding choices that led to Coke's final color. Was it really green, or was something else going on? Okay, let's unpack this.
Yeah, this is a great one because it digs into how big brands, even early on, manage public perception sometimes without even meaning to.
Right.
The core question we need to settle is, was the liquid itself green, or was it, the packaging playing tricks on us?
Okay, let's start at the beginning. Atlanta, 1886. John Pemberton invents Coca-Cola. Initially, it's a fountain drink, right?
Correct. Sold right there in pharmacies.
And the source material about that early period, it gives us a huge clue right away about the actual liquid.
Yeah.
When you look at that first recipe, before they were thinking about mass production and everything looking exactly the same, there was absolutely no artificial coloring added.
None at all.
Which is, well, it's a massive detail. Because it tells you straight up that the dark brown color we think of today, definitely not how it started in 1886.
Exactly. Take out the artificial color and you're left with the basic ingredients. You've got the syrup from coconut extract, cola nuts, other flavorings. Mix that with carbonated water. What color would that be? Probably very pale, maybe a little yellowish, light amber.
Almost like a weak tea, maybe?
Yeah, something like that. Pretty much translucent. The color was just whatever the natural ingredients made. It wasn't designed to look a certain way.
Okay, so it wasn't brown, and it wasn't deliberately colored anything.
Correct. Which brings us back to the big mystery. If the liquid was pale, clearish, why did everyone start thinking it was green? Why does that specific legend stick around?
Right. It means the answer isn't in the formula itself.
Exactly. We need to look at how it was presented, how it was contained.
So we're looking outside the liquid. Let's talk packaging then. That crucial early phase when it started going into bottles. What do the sources say? Because this feels like where the green idea really starts.
This is the pivot. We stop thinking about the recipe and start thinking about manufacturing, basically, and the sources are clear. When Coke first started getting bottled, moving beyond the fountain, it was put into glass bottles that had a noticeable green tint.
Ah, okay. Green glass, not green liquid.
Precisely.
That's fascinating, though, that the container kind of defined the product in people's minds.
Right.
What, green glass, was that like a branding choice or just what was available?
It was mostly about availability and cost. That greenish glass, sometimes called Georgia green, wasn't picked for looks back in the late 1800s. It was just the cheapest, most common type of glass around.
Why was it green, though?
Well, making glass back then often involved using local sand, and that sand frequently had iron impurities in it. Those little bits of iron would naturally make the glass turn green when it cooled down. If you wanted perfectly clear glass, you had to purify the sand more, which cost extra money.
Which early bottlers probably weren't going to spend.
Exactly. Especially when they were just trying to grow quickly. So cheap green glass it was.
So a decision based on saving money accidentally creates this huge myth. Wow.
Pretty much. And there was actually another benefit, too, which was important for a drink like Coke back then.
Oh, yeah. What's that?
UV protection. Green glass or amber glass is actually better at blocking ultraviolet light than clear glass is, so it helped protect the flavor of the syrup inside from sunlight damage. Cheap, protective. But yeah, it totally changed how the drink inside looked.
Okay, I can picture it now. You hold up this bottle filled with that pale, maybe yellowish liquid, but you're looking at it through this fairly thick green-tinted glass. The light bends, the color filters through.
And the drink looks green. Absolutely. It's an optical illusion, really made solid by mass production. The sources literally say the green tint made people think the drink itself was green.
That distinction is everything, isn't it? Liquid versus container. It wasn't in the drink. It was the package around the drink.
The company didn't plan it, but yeah, the public started associating Coke with that green color because of the bottle.
That really shows you the power of visual association, even if it's accidental, doesn't it?
Totally. The green bottle became the main visual cue for Coke in those early days. It just stuck in people's minds. The brand became known by its bottle, not really by what was inside, visually speaking.
Hmm. But that must have created a problem eventually, right? As they got bigger.
A huge problem. You've got this product taking off, but its perceived color depends entirely on the local bottler and whatever green glass they happen to be using. Not very consistent.
Right. Which leads perfectly into the next big step, standardization.
Exactly. That's the key word for the next chapter.
Okay, so we're moving out of that early pale liquid and green glass phase. Coca-Cola is getting bigger, spreading across the country, eventually the world. At some point, someone must have said, this inconsistent look isn't working.
Pretty much. They needed control.
And the sources point to one key change that completely altered the drink's appearance forever. They stopped relying on the bottle for the color.
And started controlling the color of the liquid itself. They added caramel coloring.
Caramel coloring, that simple tweak.
Well, simple ingredient, but a huge strategic move. Adding that caramel, which is basically just heated sugar, did two really important things. First, obviously, it covered up that pale natural color. It gave Coke that deep, dark brown look we all know now.
Okay, makes sense. Hides the variation.
And second, and this was crucial for the business, it guaranteed that Coke looked exactly the same everywhere. Every bottle, every fountain pour, didn't matter where it was made or what the local water was like. Total visual consistency.
But wait, why brown specifically?
Mm-hmm.
If they're adding color anyway, why not something else? Like, I don't know, red, to match the logo eventually. Why stick with brown?
That's a really good question. Consistency was key, yes. But the choice of brown wasn't random.
Okay.
Think about what colors suggest in drinks. While some early folks saw green because of the bottle, the actual liquid was pale, maybe looked a bit thin, weak.
I could see that.
Dark colors, especially browns and deep ambers in beverages, often signal richness, depth of flavor, maybe even, potency.
On perception again.
Exactly. By choosing that dark caramel color, they weren't just standardizing, they were also visually suggesting that the drink was substantial, flavorful. It was a way to enhance the perceived quality.
So they moved the brand's visual identity away from pale stuff in a green bottle.
To iconic dark brown drink. A drink that looked strong and consistent on its own, no matter the container. And remember, this happened around the same time they introduced the famous contour bottle.
Right, the shapely one, which was mostly clear glass, wasn't it?
Increasingly, yes. So they shifted the color identity from the package to the product itself. Centralized control. That dark brown achieved global recognition partly because it was always dark brown.
So the brown is intentional branding and consistency. The green was just an accident of 19th century glassmaking.
You got it. That's the core story.
Amazing. So much history in just the color of a drink. Okay, let's wrap this up. If you came here wondering about that green Coca-Cola fact, here's the clear picture based on our sources. The surprising truth. Yes, the early Coke story involves green, but it was the glass bottle, not the liquid inside.
The liquid itself back in 1886. Pale, maybe yellowish, because critically, no artificial color was added initially.
And that iconic dark brown color we all know, that's entirely thanks to caramel coloring, added later for consistency, for perceived richness, and for standardization as Coke went global.
A simple ingredient change with massive branding implications.
It really is a great example of how history, technology, and marketing all mix together.
Definitely. And maybe here's a final thought to leave you with, thinking about how much impact that early packaging had. Imagine if Coca-Cola had launched, say, 50 years later. Clear, cheap glass might have been standard then. Would they still have felt the need to add that dark caramel color?
Good question. Could a pale, clear Coke have become the global giant?
Maybe, maybe not, but it makes you think, doesn't it? About how much the container, the package, can shape our whole perception of what's inside. What do you think about how easily our view of a product can be steered, sometimes completely by accident, just by its wrapping?